What if Jesus had never been born? What would the world be like if one of the most influential people in history had never been born? That's what we're going to find out today. Greetings, everyone. I'm here to answer your questions about the Bible. Thank you so much for joining me. Before we get started, please make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. You can also click the bell beside subscribe to be notified. If you enjoy these videos, please consider making a tax-deductible donation. Let's get started. What would the world be like if Jesus had never been born? Let's do a brief survey of world religions and see how Christianity compares. Judaism began around 2000 BCE with the patriarch Abraham. The central text is the Hebrew Bible, also called the Old Testament by Christians and Muslims. Muslims revere the same Old Testament, but they also add the New Testament to their canon, except they don't call it the New Testament. They just call it the Injil. So both Jews and Muslims believed that Jesus was a prophet of God. However, Jews do not believe that Jesus was the Messiah, and Muslims believe that he was a prophet, but not divine. Both of these religions are monotheistic. They believe in one God, who is all-powerful, all-knowing, and who created the world. Now let's look at Hinduism. This religion has its roots in the Indus Valley civilization around 2300 BC. However, it was until the Vedic period around 1500 BC that the core beliefs of Hinduism began to take shape. The central text is the Vedas, and there are four main ones: the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, and Atharva Veda. There are also many other texts that are included in the Hindu canon. Hinduism is a polytheistic religion, which means that they believe in many gods. Some of the major gods include Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. So, Jesus did not have an impact on the development of Hinduism, since he was born several thousand years after it began. Now let's look at Buddhism. It began in the 6th century BCE with Siddhartha, who became known as the Buddha, which literally means the enlightened one. The central text is the Tripitaka. This religion began in the northern part of India and spread throughout the region and eventually to the rest of the world. One of the core beliefs of Buddhism is that life is full of suffering, and the cause of suffering is attachment. The goal of Buddhism is to reach enlightenment and to end suffering. So Jesus did not have an impact on the development of Buddhism, since he was born long after it began. So now let us look at the world and see what would be different if Jesus had never been born. If Jesus had never been born, then Christianity would not exist. That means that billions of people who identify as Christian would not exist. Not only that, but the culture of the Western world would be drastically different. Think of all the art, music, literature, social services, hospitals, universities, charities, and everything else that was started by Christians throughout history. All of that would not exist. Missionary efforts would still exist because all of the other religions that I mentioned would still exist. People would still be trying to convert others to their way of thinking. But Christianity would not be one of them. Science would probably be more developed because many of the greatest scientists that the world has ever known were Christians. They lived lives that were transformed by faith in Jesus Christ. The political landscape of the world would be vastly different because many of the revolutions that happened throughout history were either started or supported by Christians. Also, the United States of America would not exist if Christianity had not come to the North American continent. The Pilgrims who came on the Mayflower in 1620 were refugees fleeing religious persecution in England. They wanted to establish a colony where they could worship God according to their conscience. So, you can see that the world would be vastly different if Jesus had never been born. But that's only one small part of the reason why we celebrate Christmas. I mean, sure, it's awesome that he changed history, but that's not why we celebrate Christmas. We celebrate Christmas because God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. John 3:16. I hope this video has been a blessing to you. Please remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please remember to share this video with your friends and family. Have a wonderful day, and remember, God loves you.